I want to talk about John chapter 2, verse 24 to 25. Some thoughts about that. And it says in there, Jesus did not entrust himself to them, to the people, for he knew them all. He did not need any testimony about man, for he knew what was in man. In times past, when I would read this, I would think that this was somehow expressing some divine or miraculous quality in Jesus. But the more I relate his life and his story to my own, as I am going basically through the same stages that Jesus as a man went through, I understand today what this scripture is actually saying. It's not that Jesus had some supernatural ability here. It's just that, over his course of life, of his lifetime, he got to know himself according to the maxim, the Greek maxim, know thyself. And I know this about myself as I have gone on this journey, the journey to the inside of myself, the journey to the knowing of myself. I came to know things about me that are universally true of all mankind. So the more I get to know myself, the more I know every one of you, the more I know what is in man, in humanity. Because we all suffer from the same vulnerabilities, exactly the same fears, the same trauma, the same pain, the same defensiveness, the same offendedness. And so to say, Jesus did not entrust himself to any man, for he knew them all from his own journey and from what he had to, root out of himself. He knew what he would find in man. So when we read this, instead of holding this image that Jesus is this divine, impeccable being that came to earth, no, rather, he came just like every one of us, born of a woman, and he pooped his diapers, his little linen cloths, and had to go to the bathroom. He had to learn everything in the same way that we have to do it. So when you see and look at some of these verses, really from the man, the human Jesus. He was, you could say, he had a bit of distrust and suspicion towards others, just like we do, just like how we feel. We don't trust other people with our heart. And so Jesus actually did the same. He put kind of a wall between himself and the people. And who can blame him, because they were constantly accusing him or trying to throw rocks at him. So he had a very human experience. And so, yeah. So as you walk through your own inner realm of the emotions and the psyche, the soul, and your ego, and you learn how all of that functions together, then you understand why Jesus would not entrust himself to men. Now, I would assume that this is earlier on in his life, because also the more we dig out our shadows and we make room for light, and light really is just love and compassion, it increases our capacity for love and compassion. And love and compassion, as it increases in our heart, it takes down our walls, and we don't have to live so protected and walled off anymore, as we come into our own presence, and as we come into more of a comfortableness with our own presence, with knowing who we are, we don't have to fear the insecurities of others. So I think that over time, this distrusting feeling even dissipated in Jesus, and he was able to receive all people without judgment. So that's my take on this verse as I backdrop it against my own human journey. And scriptures to me make a lot more sense in seeing Jesus in the very same way, and that makes it more applicable and more understandable.